Commander Lee Dae-ho sat in his chair at Luna Station, staring at the screens that showed empty space beyond Neptune. For 3 days, something had been wrong with the gravity sensors. Small changes that most people would miss, but Lee Dae-ho had been watching space for 20 years. "Sir, look at this," said Park So-jin, his best tactical analyst. She pointed to numbers on her screen. "The gravity readings keep changing in the same pattern. Something big is out there, moving toward us." Lee Dae-ho leaned forward. "How big?" "Very big, sir. Maybe 50,000 objects all moving together." Communications Officer Kim Tae-woo looked up from his station. "Should I report this to Earth Command?" "Not yet," replied Lee Dae-ho. "Let me see more data first." Far beyond the edge of the solar system, High Commander Thexmore stood on the bridge of his flagship. Around him, 50,000 Vorthak warships moved through space like a dark cloud. They had been traveling for 6 months, crossing the galaxy to reach this small yellow star. "Report," ordered Thexmore. "Sir, we have reached the outer edge of the target system," said his navigation officer. "Our scouts confirmed that the third planet supports intelligent life." Thexmore smiled, showing sharp teeth. "Good. Send probe ships to study these humans. I want to know everything about their weapons and defenses." The probe ships were small and fast. They moved through the solar system like invisible ghosts, taking pictures and recording everything they saw. What they found made the Vorthak officers laugh. "Sir, the humans are still using chemical rockets," reported the intelligence officer. "Their most powerful weapons are nuclear missiles. Their ships cannot even leave their own solar system." "Primitive," said Thexmore. "This will be easier than I thought." On Mars, Dr. Yoon Ha-na worked late in her laboratory. She was studying quantum fields, trying to understand how energy and matter connected to each other. Her assistant, Choi Min-ho, brought her coffee and looked at her computer screens. "What are you working on?" he asked. "Something strange," replied Ha-na. "I think human brains might be able to connect directly to quantum computers. Look at these readings." She showed him the data. When humans touched the quantum field generators, the energy patterns changed, not randomly, but in ways that matched human thoughts. "That is impossible," said Min-ho. "Brains are biological. Quantum computers are machines." "Maybe they are not as different as we think," said Ha-na quietly. Back on Luna Station, Lee Dae-ho watched more gravity readings come in. The pattern was clearer now. Something huge was moving through space toward Earth, something that did not belong in their solar system. "Sir, I am getting energy readings too," said Park So-jin. "Whatever is out there, it is using technology we have never seen before." Lee Dae-ho made his decision. "Contact Earth Command. Tell them we have visitors coming, and they do not look friendly." The message went out across the solar system. In underground bunkers, military leaders gathered around tables covered with maps and computer screens. Secretary General Bae Sung-min read the reports with a calm face, but inside he felt cold fear. "How long do we have?" he asked Admiral Kong. "Do Young. If they keep moving at current speed, maybe 3 weeks," replied the Admiral. 3 weeks to prepare for a war against an enemy we know nothing about," said Bae. "What are our chances?" Admiral Kang looked at the other officers around the table. They all knew the truth, but no one wanted to say it out loud. "Sir, if they have 50,000 ships with technology better than ours, we cannot win a normal fight," the Admiral said finally. "Then we will not fight a normal fight," replied Bae. The Vorthak probe ships continued their work, taking pictures of human cities and military bases. They saw armies with tanks and jets. They saw navies with ships that floated on water. They saw nuclear weapons that could destroy cities but could not reach into space. "These humans are thousands of years behind us," reported the intelligence officer to Thexmore. "They cannot even build proper spaceships. Their weapons are toys compared to ours." Thexmore was pleased. "Send them the standard surrender message. Give them time to think about it. Fear makes conquest easier." The message reached Earth 3 days later. It appeared on every television screen, every computer, every radio in the world at the same time. The voice spoke in perfect English, but with an accent that sounded like metal scraping against metal. People of Earth, I am High Commander Thexmore of the Vorthak Empire. Your planet has been chosen for conquest. You have 72 hours to surrender completely. Your governments will dissolve. Your military will lay down their weapons. Your people will serve the Empire. The message continued for 10 minutes, listing all the things humans would have to give up. Their freedom, their culture, their right to travel between their own cities, everything that made them human. If you resist, your cities will be destroyed from orbit. If you surrender, some of you will be allowed to live as workers. You cannot fight us. You cannot hide from us. You cannot win. The message ended with coordinates where human leaders could send their surrender. In the underground command center, Secretary General Bay turned off the screen and looked around the table at his advisors. Well, he said, that was rude. Admiral Kang Du-Young almost smiled. What are your orders, sir? Send a reply, said Bay. Tell them we need time to consider their generous offer. And what will we really be doing with that time? Bay's face became hard as stone. Getting ready to show them what humans do to bullies. On TL. Mars, Dr. Yoon Ha-na made a discovery that would change everything. She had connected a volunteer test pilot to her quantum field generator. When the pilot thought about moving left, the energy field moved left. When he thought about going faster, the field increased its power. Minho, call the military, she said, her voice shaking with excitement. I think I know how we can fight them. How? Asked Minho. By becoming one with our machines. By making our ships think like we think. By turning human intuition into a weapon. The call went out to military bases across the solar system. Scientists and engineers worked day and night to build new systems based on Ha-na's discovery. They took the quantum field generators and connected them to ships, weapons, and computers. The first test was done in secret, far from Earth where alien probe ships could not see it. A fighter pilot named Han Bo-ram sat in a cockpit that looked more like a medical scanner than a spaceship control room. Try to move the ship with your thoughts, said the technician. Han Bo-ram closed her eyes and imagined moving forward. The ship moved forward. She imagined turning left. The ship turned left. She imagined firing weapons at a target. The weapons fired and hit the target perfectly. This is incredible, she whispered. I can feel the ship like it is part of my body. That is because it is, replied Dr. Yoon Ha-na over the radio. You are not just piloting the ship anymore. You are the ship. All across the solar system, humans prepared for war. But they did not prepare the way the aliens expected. They did not build bigger guns or thicker armor. Instead, they built connections between human minds and human machines. When the Vorthak fleet finally arrived at the edge of the solar system, they found exactly what their probe ships had reported. A few hundred primitive human ships trying to look threatening, space stations that seemed to be protected by energy shields from a children's science book. Just as we expected, said Thexmore. This will be over quickly. He had no idea that, hidden throughout the solar system, 200,000 human ships waited in quantum stealth fields. Ships controlled not by computers, but by human consciousness itself. Ships that could move faster than thought and strike with the precision of human intuition. The trap was ready. The aliens had taken the bait, and humanity was about to show. The galaxy, what happened when you threatened the wrong species? The alien ships moved through space like hungry wolves. They had passed Neptune 3 days ago and now approached the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. High Commander Thexmore stood on his command deck, watching the small screen that showed human space ahead. Sir, we are picking up many signals, said his communications officer. The humans are trying to contact each other. They sound scared. Thexmore smiled with his sharp teeth. Good. Fear makes them easier to control. On Earth, Captain Oh Jin-wook sat in his command chair aboard the transport ship New Seoul. Around him, his crew worked at their stations, sending out radio messages that the aliens could easily hear. All stations. This is Captain O, he said, into his microphone. We need to evacuate the outer colonies now. The aliens are too strong. We cannot fight them. The message was a lie. Oh Jin-wook was not scared at all. In fact, he was trying very hard not to smile. The outer colonies had been empty for months. Every person who lived there was now safe in underground cities that the aliens could not see. The panic in his voice was just acting. Dr. Yoon Ha-na worked in her laboratory on Mars. She stared at the numbers on her computer screen. The breakthrough had come 2 days ago, but she still could not believe it. Human brains could connect directly to quantum computers. Not just give commands, but actually become part of the machine. "Hana, look at this," said her assistant Choi Min-ho. He pointed to another screen. "When I think about moving left, the quantum field moves left. When I think about going faster, it goes faster." "This changes everything," Hana whispered. "Our ships, our weapons, everything can be controlled by human thoughts." Engineer Seo Hyun-woo walked into the lab. "The military wants to see your results right away. Admiral Kang Do-young is waiting." Meanwhile, the alien fleet found the first human defenses. Old satellites floated in space around the asteroid belt. They looked ancient and weak. Some had rust on their metal sides. Others seemed to be held together with repair patches. "Destroy them!" ordered Thexmore. The alien weapons fired. Bright beams of energy cut through the human satellites like hot knives through butter. Each satellite exploded in a ball of fire and metal pieces. "Too easy," laughed the alien weapons officer. "Their technology is hundreds of years behind ours." What the aliens did not know was that those satellites were supposed to be destroyed. Each one had been placed there just to make the aliens feel strong and confident. Hidden cameras in the fake satellites recorded everything. Now the humans knew exactly how powerful alien weapons were. Dr. Nam Ye-jin watched the recordings in her underground bunker on Earth. "Their energy weapons use focused plasma streams," she told her team. "We can build shields that will turn their own power against them." The aliens continued moving toward Mars. They found more human defenses along the way. Space stations that looked scared and desperate. Mining ships trying to run away. Each time, the aliens destroyed them easily. "Sir, we are receiving a message from the human government," reported the communications officer. "Put it on the main screen," said Thexmore. Secretary General Bae Sung-min appeared on the screen. He looked tired and defeated. "Please, we surrender. Do not destroy our cities. We will give you whatever you want." Thexmore laughed. "It is too late for surrender, human. We will take what we want anyway." The message ended. Thexmore felt very pleased with himself. The humans were giving up without a real fight. This would be the easiest conquest in Vorthak history. But Secretary General Bae was not in his office when he made that recording. He was actually standing in a war room deep underground, surrounded by hundreds of military officers. After the recording ended, he turned to Admiral Kang Do-young. "Do they believe it?" asked Bae. "Completely," replied the Admiral. "Our quantum sensors show they are not even trying to look for hidden ships. They think we are helpless." Around Mars, the real human fleet waited in quantum stealth fields. 200,000 ships hung in space, invisible to alien sensors. Each ship was connected to a human mind through the new quantum interface technology. The crews did not just pilot their ships, they became their ships. Lieutenant Han Bo-ram sat in her fighter cockpit, but she was not really sitting. Her consciousness was spread through every part of her ship. She could feel the engine like it was her heartbeat. The weapons felt like her own hands. When she wanted to turn left, the ship turned left before she even thought the command. "This is amazing," she whispered to her wingman Lee Jun-sik. I can sense everything around us, even the alien ships on the other side of Mars. The quantum field connects all human minds, explained Dr. Yoon Ha-na over the radio. You are not just one pilot anymore. You are part of something bigger. The aliens finally reached Mars. They saw exactly what they expected to see. A few hundred human ships trying to run away toward Earth. The ships looked scared and disorganized. Finally, their main fleet, said Thexmore. Prepare to attack. We will end this war in one battle. Major Shin Woo-jin listened to the alien communications from his hidden position. His Special Forces team was already aboard captured alien scout ships. They had been waiting for 3 days, using alien technology that the Vorthak had taught them how to use. All teams, the aliens are moving to attack our fake fleet, he whispered into his radio. Get ready. Once they commit to the attack, we will take their command ships. The alien fleet moved into attack position. 50,000 warships formed battle lines, ready to destroy what they thought was humanity's last hope. They had no idea that they were flying into the greatest military trap in galactic history. In just a few hours, they would learn that humans were not the helpless primitives they appeared to be. They were something far more dangerous. They were survivors who had learned to think like predators. The moment had come. High Commander Thexmore watched his battle screen as 50,000 Vorthak warships moved to surround the fleeing human fleet. The humans had only a few hundred ships, and they looked scared and disorganized. Begin the attack, ordered Thexmore. Show these primitives the power of the Vorthak Empire. The alien ships opened fire. Thousands of energy beams shot toward the human vessels, but something impossible happened. The beams passed right through the human ships. Like they were made of air. What is happening? Shouted Thexmore. His weapons officer stared at his controls in confusion. Sir, the human ships are not real. They are just light patterns. The holographic human fleet flickered and disappeared. For a moment, space around Mars looked completely empty. Then the real nightmare began. All around the alien fleet, space itself seemed to tear open. Human ships appeared from nowhere. Not hundreds of ships, but hundreds of thousands. They had been hiding in quantum stealth fields, invisible to every alien sensor. Admiral Kang Do-young sat in his command chair aboard the flagship Soul's Pride. His mind was connected directly to every ship in the human fleet through the quantum network. He could feel the thoughts of 200,000 human crew members flowing through his consciousness. All ships, he said calmly. Destroy them all. Lieutenant Hanbo Ram felt the command flow through her mind like electricity. Her fighter ship was no longer just a machine. It was part of her body. When she wanted to move, the ship moved. When she wanted to fire, the weapons fired. But more than that, she could sense every alien ship around her like they were living creatures. Lee Jun-sik, take the cruiser on your left, she said to her wingman. But she did not need to speak. Through the quantum link, he already knew what she was thinking. Got it, he replied, his fighter diving toward an alien warship. The first human weapons fired. But these were not normal weapons. The quantum fields around each human ship bent space and time itself. Energy beams that should have taken seconds to reach their targets arrived instantly. Missiles that should have flown in straight lines curved around asteroid to hit targets hiding behind cover. Alien Captain Veltar watched in horror as his entire squadron disappeared in seconds. The human weapons seemed to know exactly where his ships would be before he even gave the orders to move there. How are they doing this? He screamed into his radio. They are hitting us before we even move. The answer was simple but terrifying. The human pilots were not just guessing where the alien ships would go. Through their quantum-enhanced minds, they could sense the intentions of the alien crews. Every thought, every planned movement, every tactical decision was visible to the humans before it happened. Park Yunbi piloted her bomber toward a massive alien battleship. The ship was 10 times bigger than her small vessel, but she felt no fear. Through the quantum link, she could sense the weak points in its armor. She could feel the flow of power through its systems. The alien ship was not just an enemy. It was a puzzle that her enhanced mind could solve instantly. Her weapons fired, but instead of hitting the thick armor on the front of the ship, her missiles curved around and struck the reactor vents on the back. The alien battleship exploded from the inside, torn apart by its own power core. Major Shin Woo-jin and his Special Forces team were already inside captured alien scout ships when the battle began. They had been waiting for 3 days, hiding in the cargo holds of Vorthak vessels. Now they struck. "Go, go, go!" he shouted as his team burst onto the bridge of an alien command ship. The alien crew reached for their weapons, but it was too late. The humans moved with impossible speed and precision. Every shot found its target. Every movement was perfectly timed. Through their quantum-enhanced reflexes, the humans could react faster than alien thoughts. "Bridge secured," reported Sergeant Go Min-jung. "Moving to engineering." Specialist Ryu Tai-hyun was already there. He placed his hands on the alien control panels and closed his eyes. Through the quantum interface, his mind connected directly to the alien ship's computer systems. Within seconds, he had complete control. "Ship captured," he reported, turning their weapons on their own fleet. The alien battleship turned its massive guns on its own escorts. The other Vorthak ships were so confused that they did not even return fire before they were destroyed. High Commander Thexmore watched his fleet disappear on the battle screens. In 30 minutes, he had lost half of his ships. The humans were not just winning, they were slaughtering his forces without taking any losses themselves. "Retreat!" he ordered. "All ships retreat immediately!" But there was nowhere to run. Human ships appeared everywhere the aliens tried to go. The quantum network allowed perfect coordination between human forces. Every escape route was blocked before the aliens even thought to use it. Dr. Yoon Hana watched the battle from her laboratory on Mars. Through the quantum link, she could feel the emotions of every human pilot. There was no anger, no hatred, just calm, precise determination. The humans were not fighting like warriors. They were working like surgeons, carefully removing a disease from the solar system. "The aliens do not understand," she said to her assistant Choi Min-ho. "They think this is about technology. But we are not more advanced than them. We are something else entirely." "What are we?" asked Min-ho. "Evolution," replied Hana. "While they built better machines, we learned to become one with our machines." The battle continued for 6 hours, but the outcome was decided in the first 30 minutes. Human ships danced through space like schools of fish, moving as one organism. They struck with perfect timing and withdrew before the aliens could respond. Every human weapon found its target. Every human ship avoided alien fire as if they knew where it would be before it was fired. Commander Thexmore found himself alone on his command ship. Every other vessel in his escort had been destroyed or captured. Human fighters circled around him like hungry sharks. A human voice came over his radio. It spoke in perfect Vorthak language. "Surrender your ship and prepare to be boarded." "Who are you?" demanded Thexmore. "We are Lieutenant Han Bo-ram of the Earth Defense Force. You came to conquer our world. Now you will answer for your crimes." Thexmore looked at his weapons. He could still fight. He could still die with honor. But then he thought about what he had seen. The humans did not fight like any species he had ever encountered. They moved like they could read minds. They struck like they could see the future. "What are you?" he whispered. "We are human," came the reply. "And you should have stayed home." The last alien resistance ended 20 minutes later. Of the 50,000 ships that had come to conquer Earth, fewer than 100 survived. All of them were now prisoners. The message was sent across the galaxy that night. Every species that served the Vorthak Empire received the same transmission. It was simple and terrifying. "This is Earth. The Vorthak fleet has been destroyed. Any alien forces remaining in this solar system have exactly 1 hour to surrender or be destroyed. We are human. We do not make threats. We make promises. View. Age of human dominance had begun. The main alien fleet was gone, but the war was not over. Scattered throughout the solar system, small groups of Vorthak ships tried to hide. Some took shelter behind asteroids. Others landed on moons and shut down their engines. A few tried to escape toward deep space. None of them would survive. Captain Moon Ji-Hai stood on the bridge of her hunting ship, Silent Wind. Around her, the crew worked quietly at their stations. They were not in a hurry. Through the quantum network, they already knew where every alien ship was hiding. Contact bearing 270, reported her sensor officer. 3 alien corvettes hiding behind Ceres. I see them, replied Moon Ji-Hai, but she was not looking at any screen. Through her quantum-enhanced awareness, she could feel the alien ships like heat sources in the cold of space. Their fear was so strong that it made the quantum field itself vibrate. Take us closer, she ordered. The Silent Wind moved through space without using engines. The quantum drive bent space around the ship, allowing it to travel faster than light while making no sound and leaving no trail. To the aliens hiding behind Ceres, the human ship simply appeared from nowhere. Unknown vessel, this is Captain Velmore of the Vorthak Third Fleet, came a transmission. We wish to surrender. Moon Ji-Hai smiled coldly. Too late for that. You had your chance when you entered our solar system. The alien ships tried to run. Their engines flared to life and they shot away from Ceres as fast as they could. But human ships did not chase prey. They simply appeared where the prey was going to be. Sergeant Kim Young-ho was waiting in his fighter when the alien ships arrived. He had used the quantum field to travel ahead of them and position himself directly in their path. Hello, he said over the radio in the alien language. Going somewhere? His weapons fired. The quantum-enhanced targeting system did not aim at where the alien ships were. It aimed at where they would be in 3 seconds. All 3 enemy vessels flew directly into the weapon beams and exploded. 3 targets eliminated, reported Kim Young-ho, returning to base. On Europa, the largest moon of Jupiter, the surviving aliens had built a fortress. They dug deep into the ice and surrounded themselves with energy shields. Force Captain Rexdal commanded the last 300 Vorthak soldiers in the solar system. They cannot reach us here, he told his troops. The ice is too thick. Our shields are too strong. We just need to wait for the rescue fleet. Dr. Lim Soo-young stood outside the alien fortress with her research team. She placed her hands on the ice and closed her eyes. Through the quantum field, she could sense every detail of the alien base below, the layout of the tunnels, the location of the shield generators, even the thoughts of the terrified soldiers inside. Fascinating, she said to her assistant. They still think in terms of barriers and defenses. They do not understand that humans can change the rules of reality itself. Reconnaissance officer Jong Hai-won joined the research team on the surface of Europa. She had been tracking the aliens for 3 days, using quantum sensors to monitor their communications and movements. They have sent a message to their home, Galaxy, she reported. They are asking for help. What did they tell them? Asked Dr. Lim. Jong Hai-won played the recording. The alien voice was filled with panic and fear. Do not come to this system, the message said. The humans are not what they appear. They can see through solid matter. They can appear anywhere instantly. They can predict our thoughts before we think them. They are not a normal species. They are evolution itself weaponized. Dr. Lim nodded. At least they are learning. The final assault began at dawn. Engineer Kwon Sang-ho and his construction corps surrounded the alien fortress. But they did not bring weapons or explosives. Instead, they brought quantum field manipulators. Begin reality modification, ordered Kwon Sang-ho. The humans placed their hands on the ice and closed their eyes. Through the quantum field, their minds reached deep into the moon's surface. They did not dig tunnels or blast holes. Instead, they simply convinced the ice to move aside. Inside the fortress, Rexdal watched in horror as the walls began to flow like water. The solid ice became liquid, then became gas, then became something that was not quite matter at all. The energy shields that protected his base could stop weapons, but they could not stop the substance of the moon itself from changing. "Impossible," whispered Rexdal. "Matter cannot behave like this." "It can if you know how to ask it nicely," said a human voice behind him. Rexdal spun around. A human soldier stood in the middle of his command room. The man had not walked through the door or broken through the wall. He had simply appeared, as if he had been there all along. "I am Major Shin Woo-jin," said the human, "and you are my prisoner." "How did you get in here?" demanded Rexdal. "I convinced the ice to make a path," replied Shin Woo-jin. "Then I convinced space to let me travel through it. Your fortress is now a prison, and your soldiers are surrounded." Rexdal looked at his control screens. Throughout the base, human soldiers were appearing in rooms that should have been impossible to reach. They moved through solid walls like ghosts and struck with weapons that bent the laws of physics. "What are you?" Rexdal asked, just as his commander had asked before him. "We are what happens when a species learns to think with the universe instead of against it," replied Shin Woo-jin. "Your people built bigger guns and stronger armor. We learned to become one with reality itself." The last battle lasted 15 minutes. When it was over, every alien soldier had been captured alive. Not because the humans were merciful, but because they were precise. They could disable their enemies without killing them, taking exactly what they wanted and leaving the rest untouched. Rexdal sat in his cell aboard a human prison ship. Through the transparent walls, he could see other captured aliens, thousands of them, soldiers, officers, and even civilians who had been living on alien ships throughout the solar system. A human guard walked past his cell. Rexdal called out to him, "What will you do with us?" The human stopped and looked at him. "That depends on you. Some of your people will choose to help us. They will teach us about your technology and your empire. In return, they will be allowed to live peacefully on human worlds. And the others? The others will remain in prison until they die," the human said simply. "We do not execute prisoners, but we do not forgive those who came to destroy our home." Rexdal thought about this. "What if I told you about our home worlds, about our fleets, and our defenses?" The human smiled. "Then you might live to see the end of this war. But I should warn you, we are not planning to defend ourselves anymore. We are planning to attack." That night, Rexdal sent a message to his home galaxy. It was the last transmission the Vorthak Empire would receive from the conquered solar system. "This is Force Captain Rexdal," he said into the recorder. "I am the last free Vorthak officer in the Sol system. Our fleet is destroyed. Our forces are captured, but that is not the worst news." He paused, trying to find words for what he had seen. "The humans are coming. They have learned our technology and improved it. They can do things that should be impossible. They move through space like it is their own body. They fight like they can see the future." Rexdal looked around his cell one more time. "If you receive this message, evacuate the border worlds immediately. Hide the civilian populations. Do not try to fight them. The humans are not conquerors. They are a force of nature. And they are very, very angry." The message was sent toward the distant stars, carrying word of humanity's victory to the alien empire. But by the time it arrived, human ships would already be there, bringing a new kind of justice to the galaxy. 6 months after the last alien ship was captured, humanity looked beyond their solar system. The captured Vorthak technology had been studied, improved, and combined with human quantum consciousness systems. What emerged was something the galaxy had never seen before. Admiral Yu Dongmin stood on the bridge of the exploration ship New Earth as it prepared for humanity's first journey to another star system. Around him, his crew worked at stations that looked more like meditation chambers than control panels. Each person was connected to the ship through quantum links, making the vessel an extension of their combined consciousness. "All systems ready, Admiral," reported his navigation officer. "Quantum drive is synchronized with the crew consciousness network. Take us to the Vorthak home system," ordered Yu Dongmin. "Let us see what kind of empire we are dealing with." The journey that should have taken years was completed in hours. Human ships could now bend space and time around themselves, traveling faster than anything the Vorthak had ever built. When they arrived at the alien home system, what they found shocked them. Dr. Anmi Young was the first to analyze the alien worlds. Through her quantum-enhanced sensors, she could see that the Vorthak Empire was not just a military force. It was a massive slave operation that controlled hundreds of species across dozens of star systems. "The Vorthak do not create anything," she reported to Admiral Yu. "They steal it. Every piece of technology, every work of art, every scientific discovery comes from conquered species. The Vorthak are parasites who have been feeding on the galaxy for thousands of years." Xenobiologist Song Jae-hoon studied the biological data from the alien worlds. What he discovered made him angry. "Admiral, there are billions of intelligent beings living as slaves on these worlds. Some species have been in chains for so long that they have forgotten they were ever free." "Admiral." Yu nodded grimly. "Then we will remind them." The liberation of the first Vorthak world began at dawn. Commander Woo Sung-hoon led a fleet of 50 human ships against a planet called Vorth Prime. The alien defenders had early warning systems and powerful weapons, but they had never faced an enemy like humanity. Human ships did not attack the planet directly. Instead, they appeared in the atmosphere above every major city simultaneously. The quantum drive allowed them to exist in multiple locations at once, surrounding the entire world in minutes. "Attention citizens of Vorth Prime," broadcast Admiral Yu in 100 different languages. "We are humans from the planet Earth. The Vorthak Empire is now at war with humanity. All slave populations are free. All Vorthak military forces will surrender or be destroyed." On the planet's surface, a slave named Kethara heard the message in her own language. She had been born in chains and had never known freedom. For a moment, she thought she was dreaming. Then the Vorthak guards around her began to panic. They screamed orders at each other and fired their weapons at the sky. But their energy beams simply passed through the human ships like they were made of light. "Impossible!" shouted the guard captain. "Nothing can phase through solid matter like that." A human voice answered him from everywhere at once. "We do not phase through matter. We convince matter to let us pass." The first human soldiers appeared on the streets of the alien cities. They did not drop from ships or march through gates. They simply stepped out of empty air as if walking through invisible doors. Captain Hong Yun-suk led the assault on the planet's capital. Her soldiers moved through the city like ghosts, appearing wherever they were needed. When Vorthak forces tried to use civilians as shields, the humans simply walked through the walls and attacked from behind. "Free the slaves," she ordered her troops. "Capture the Vorthak, and remember, we are here to liberate, not to conquer." The battle lasted 3 hours. When it was over, 10 million beings had been freed from slavery. The Vorthak garrison of 50,000 soldiers had been captured without killing a single civilian. Kethara stood in the city square, watching her former guards being led away in chains. A human soldier approached her. He was young and smiled kindly. "You are free now," he said in her language. "What will you do?" Kethara looked around at her people. Some were crying, others were laughing. Many just stood in shock, unable to believe. What had happened? "I do not know how to be free," she admitted. "Then we will teach you," replied the human. "Freedom is not something you are given. It is something you take and keep for yourself." Word of the liberation spread across the galaxy like wildfire. On 1,000 worlds, slave populations heard that beings called humans had defeated the mighty Vorthak fleet. Some did not believe it. Others began to hope. The liberation campaigns continued for 2 years. Human fleets appeared at Vorthak worlds throughout the galaxy. Each time, the pattern was the same. The aliens would fight desperately for a few hours, then surrender when they realized they could not win. But the humans did not stop with military victories. They brought something far more dangerous to the Vorthak Empire. They brought ideas. Dr. Lim Soo-young established the first freedom schools on liberated worlds. Former slaves learned to read, to think for themselves, and to question authority. They studied human history and learned how Earth had overcome its own dictatorships and oppressive governments. The most powerful weapon in the universe is not a gun, she taught her students. It is an educated mind that refuses to accept injustice. The Vorthak High Command tried to organize a counterattack. They gathered their remaining fleets and prepared for a final battle that would save their empire. But when they arrived at the chosen battleground, they found something that terrified them more than human weapons. They found their own former slaves waiting for them with human-built ships. The rebel fleet was led by beings who had once served the Vorthak as workers and servants. Now they flew beside human pilots, their consciousness linked through quantum networks to ships that responded to thought itself. Cathara piloted one of the rebel fighters. 6 months ago, she had been a slave. Now she was a warrior fighting for the freedom of others. Through the quantum link, she could feel the thoughts of human pilots around her. "We fight together," said Captain Hong Yun-suk through the network. "Human and alien, united against tyranny." The final battle of the Vorthak Empire lasted 12 hours. When it ended, the last alien fleet had been destroyed. The empire that had ruled the galaxy for millennia was no more. 1 year later, representatives from 500 species gathered on a neutral world to form the Galactic Liberation Alliance. The meeting was led by General No Hyo-jin, who had become humanity's voice in galactic affairs. "We did not come to your worlds to become your rulers," she told the assembly. "We came because no one should have to live in fear of conquest. The age of empires is over. The age of cooperation begins today." A delegate from the liberated world of Zereth Prime stood to speak. "What do you want from us in return for our freedom?" General No smiled. "We want you to be free. We want you to grow and learn and explore the universe. We want you to help us make sure that no species ever has to face what you faced under the Vorthak. And if we choose not to join your alliance, then you are free to choose that too," replied No. Freedom means the right to make your own decisions, even if we do not agree with them. The alliance was formed that day, not as an empire, but as a partnership of equals. Humans shared their technology and knowledge freely. In return, other species shared their own discoveries and cultures. Dr. An Mi-young established the first Galactic University, where beings from dozens of worlds studied together. Former slaves became teachers and scientists. Children who had been born in chains grew up to become explorers and artists. The quantum consciousness network that had given humans their power in war became a tool for peace. Through it, different species could share thoughts and experiences directly. For the first time in galactic history, true understanding became possible between peoples who had never even seen each other. 10 years after the first human ship left Earth, the galaxy was a different place. Trade flowed freely between worlds. Art and music crossed species barriers. Scientific discoveries accelerated as minds from hundreds of civilizations worked together. And at the center of it all was a small blue planet, where beings called humans had once looked up at the stars and wondered if they were alone. They were not alone. They had become the galaxy's teachers, showing others that the greatest strength came not from conquest, but from cooperation. The species that had once faced extinction now guided 1,000 worlds toward a future that none of them could have imagined. The Vorthak Empire was gone, but its legacy lived on as a reminder. In schools across the galaxy, children learned about the darkness that had once covered the stars, and about the light that had driven it away. They learned about humanity, and about the day when a small, stubborn species had looked at an impossible enemy and said simply, "No, you cannot have our world," and then had kept that promise no matter what the cost.